20 episodes into the Better Road, I want to thank everybody who has been watching this content, who has came up to me personally, told me how much they appreciate the content. That means the world to me. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos, more interviews. We are going to get plenty of cool guests on here. Everyone that's on my list, we've hit so far, and we got a lot more to go. So please subscribe for more. It really helps out. This upcoming video is probably the most important one to me. 3 separate occasions, I interviewed my grandfather, trying to collect the pieces of his story of growing up in the Soviet Union and eventually immigrating to America. My grandfather's story is crazy. He was separated from his parents at 15 years old, never saw his dad again, and lost his mom. They were sentenced to jail. They were taken away from him for building a business in a country where they weren't allowed to build a business. So without further ado, here's my interview with my grandfather, Eddy. Camera's on.
Hi. For those of you who don't know Eddy, Eddy is from Soviet Union, Russia.
Soviet Union, Ukraine.
Ukraine to be correct. And he had a rough time in that environment, right? You could say that?
Yes.
So you came to America for opportunity, right? To make...
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's coming.
So you grew up in Dnepr, or Dnepropetrovsk.
Dnepr.
Not even like Napa Valley.
Yeah. Dnepr. Dnepr. All terminal when they couldn't pronounce Dnepr. They could Dnepr.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pronounce with the English accent.
Dnepr. Dnepr.
DN?
Dnepropetrovsk.
Yeah.
Dnepr. Dnepr.
Huh.
Dnepr.
Yeah, it's very dialect. You know, it's the dialect. So you grew up there.
You know what the Dnepr is?
What?
Is a river. Which of Dnepropetrovsk stays on this river. It's one, how you call?
Kyiv stays on this.
Kyiv stays on the river Dnepr.
Yeah.
But Dnepropetrovsk is like left side and right side. And it's the bridge.
Right.
And this bridge connects to half of Dnepropetrovsk.
Right. I remember because the video that Brian made with you, with the interview, that bridge. Because it was an industrial city, right?
It was in Ukraine, it used to be one of the biggest industrial city in the whole Soviet Union.
What was it like growing up in Dnepr? Did I say it?
Dnepr?
Yeah, Dnepr. What was it like?
It was good.
It was good.
Was it bad?
Listen, Ukraine was a good country. Just one thing, what was bad, as I told you, is antisemitism. If you're a Jewish, it's impossible to be educated person and work like educated person. That's why when your mom was 6 years old, as I told you before, and I looked on her, I see what she could be, she could be.
And when it came to professional jobs like doctor, lawyer, How did that work? You went to education and then you were able to earn more money if you were educated, right? So it wasn't like a universal income.
It depends depends who you are, or you general doctors, or you go take some shit from somebody.
Yeah,
It's a different doctor. It depends of occupation.
right.
If you're even high occupation, you got a higher salary. If you're
And everybody gets paid 2 times a month?
uh,
Once.
once. First of all, it was like on about 15, about between each tenth or tenth, between 10th and 15th, yeah, every month they gave you 1/3 of your salary,
Mm-hmm.
and when next month comes, they give you the full. That's why it's like every 2 weeks you have some money.
And so every 2 weeks you have some money, and it solely depends on
Of your
your
occupation.
occupation. And you can't earn any more. There's no cap. There's a ceiling, right? So like, who is the highest earner?
No,
Doctor?
you can work on 2 jobs or 3 jobs. You can start at 5 o'clock and mop the floor in one office, then you go to another office, then you go.
So in reality, you could legally make extra money if you worked harder.
But everything was so expensive. But if you work just for salary,
You're not really working. You're not making any.
You're not gonna save nothing. That's why in 1960s, 1950s was everything corrupted. First was Stalin. Then
Were you alive during Stalin?
Stalin died in 1954, and I born in 1948.
So you were alive.
I've been alive. I remember when Stalin. I've been 6 years old, but I really remember everyone was crying.
Really?
All people was crying because, people with name Stalin go fall down on the tents and say for Stalin.
But he was such a bad guy, right? Wasn't he?
People around him was a bad people. Stalin was a paranoid.
So after Stalin passed away, who was next?
Khrushchev. And Khrushchev, he's a motherfucker.
Why?
Because he understood what human being, people has money.
Mm-hmm.
But how he can take money from people? So in 1961, he makes some like revolution with money.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come to the bank and you can exchange money for a new one. For example, if you got 10,000, so they give you new money just 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
But my dad and then in 1961, he makes some revolution with money, and he makes some law. If you make the black market, like over here, if you don't show to IRS
Right.
more than $10,000, you have to be in jail 15 years old, or the government should kill you, like they did to my dad.
So
what money they found it in my dad, like I told you, 3 states didn't have so money.
So you grew up very rich. That's why you're saying you grew up nice, growing up.
Right. When I grew up, I told you, that's money. He put it on the ground. I used to have a German Shepherd, Alma, his name.
Oh yeah, they had
A
one
big one.
under his doghouse.
Yeah, and on the dog house, My dad put, I have 1 million rubles over there.
That's crazy.
So you
You
I have a
remember?
question.
couldn't use it.
So
Huh?
your house, they changed it to a preschool or whatever, it's elementary school, right?
No,
After.
first, in the center of the town of Dnepropetrovsk,
Mhm.
my dad has private house and yard, 100 meters
So
long,
that's my
70
question.
miles.
How can he have such a
Sure.
big place?
Because the fucking communism then told them, listen, you have too many lands.
I know. But
They cut it to have and make the kindergarten.
so
I know, but
how
how'd
did
he
they
get there in the
how
first
did he
place?
have
How
it in
did
the
he get
first
so
place?
rich? Because it seems like everyone
Because
else was under control, but how did he get away from?
It's money under the
But
table.
my question is, where was
For
the house
I
somewhere in a big
understand.
driveway and
Yeah,
Was it hidden?
He bought the house for 300,000, but in the papers he bought from one Dak, how you call Batyushka,
Oh,
Ravin, but not Ravin, Russian Ravin, how you call?
real estate agent?
No,
no.
when you go to the church, how you call?
It was a church before?
Rabbi?
Church.
Rabbi, it's a Jewish
Priest.
priest.
Yeah.
Oh.
The biggest priest. The fucking cops found that money. This priest was priest of the priest of the priest. They found that money on на чердаке, on the ceiling from Kerensky from since 1922.
So anybody that was successful was illegal.
Everything that's for
Sure.
business.
Your dad bought the house from the priest?
Not, yeah, for a priest. For
a priest. Or from a priest?
From a priest for 300,000, but in a paper he put just 75,000.
Right, and the priest took the money.
Priest took the money,
Yeah.
3,000, but everyone can kiss priest.
So the house was a church, essentially. It was a church before?
No, it was the priest. Don't you?
Oh, it was his home.
It was his home.
Oh, so the priest gets to live in a nice home because he's the priest.
Yeah, because he's a priest. I told you he has a land in center of the town of Dnepropetrovsk. A 1,200,000 people live in this.
Yeah, you gave me
town.
the address. I'm gonna go see it one day.
Then, when 1963, they took my mom and dad. They brought to this place. How they found that money? They brought 70, 100,000 тюремщики, как их, блядь?
That's what you want. Right away, once your dad bought a home.
Prisoner.
Oh, prisoners came. You told me, yeah.
They brought to prisoner, and they
Digged up the money. But shouldn't they know right away your dad bought the home from the priest, whether it's 75,000 or not, or 300,000? Shouldn't they know right away your dad is buying this big home from a priest? He's very rich.
but in those times, they, if you know, you have to know from where, right?
You have to have.
Listen,
you have to have the proof.
Right.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna say, listen, Stefan Fisher, God forbid, killed somebody, but you have to have a proof.
So the priest was just corrupted, and he was okay to make the deal.
For priest,
Everybody was corrupt.
everyone, but priest left Dnepropetrovsk.
Yeah, okay.
Who knows where he went? He took the money, cash
He
money.
got the fuck out.
In 1958, when Dad bought this house, it wasn't checks, schmecks,
Cash.
everything was
Rubles.
in cash.
So listen, the first time they came to search your property, they didn't find anything.
No.
So
That's it.
explain. So
You
what?
remember
So how did
that?
You
the?
remember?
I do remember.
So how did the entire
It was,
investigation pan out? What
March-
started it, and how did it go?
March 13, 1 week before my birthday. I do remember like yesterday. It was 5 o'clock and I find 5, maybe 4:30. It was raining. We have 2 entrances, one from the street and another entrance from the yard.
Mm-hmm.
So it was bell from the street. Mom, I do remember. Because they searched me
And you were young.
and they searched my fucking bag and then tell me go to school. I didn't went to school. I
Remember the second time when they actually found the money?
wasn't at home.
You weren't home. So how'd you find out?
Was they found it?
Yeah.
The fucking cops. They came to the school.
They came to you while you're at school.
I was sitting on the lessons. The fucking cop came, this director. And who is Eddy Khrushchev? Me. But I thought because few days before we broke with Borul.
You're a troublemaker.
Yeah, we broke some lamps. And somebody saw it and he came to check me out.
So you thought you were just getting in trouble. You didn't know.
No, I didn't know for what. How your great
David.
like David, why he got catch, and why he got, and David been in jail. Baba Bronya, your great grandma was in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in correction school. It's almost like jail for a young.
I'm named after Bronya, right?
So you went
Yeah,
right
you're
from
right.
class to correction school or to court?
Because when the cops ask my dad, okay, you made some extra paint. From where you took the banca, to where to put it? From where you got the can?
Okay.
From where you got the from when you got
How much did it all cost you?
they found it from where? So they understand if I'm taken from this fucking paint,
Yeah.
which I don't show to the government,
Right.
and I put it in can, so I pay for a can from you also for a cash. So you also fuck the government.
The government wanted to look at the books. They want to figure out where you got the material.
Yeah.
I understand. All right, I'm really curious about this from your lens. What happened? You were in school. The police took you, and the school attendant took you, and then you went to the jail or courthouse, right? Did you see your parents?
Yeah.
You saw your parents there.
Yeah.
That was the last time you saw them.
Last time I've been here, and my parents been like I've been over here, and my parents was like, where is the bathroom? And was the клетка.
In a cell. Holding cell.
Like a holding. It was,
You were in the holding cell.
No,
I
his
was-
parents were.
My parents was.
So you saw your parents in the cell.
Yeah.
That was the last time you saw
Yes,
them.
my dad was in the first.
And they let you speak to them? They let you.
No, they motherfucker calls one witness. Who's the witness? For example, exactly. Like this fucking neighbor. We used to have one neighbor, exactly like this, maybe even closer a little. And this fucking neighbor grew up the flowers
Mm-hmm.
and went to the market and sells.
Yeah.
But she doesn't show to the government also what she sells the
Right.
flowers. So cops told they, you're gonna say what you saw through the window. How Bronya Klasztorna put money to the bag. And then you saw как Bronya Klasztorna, Oля, my tete Oля.
So they blackmailed.
And we won't get you in trouble for the flag.
And go fuck yourself.
And you watched this all from school. You went from school to this courtroom, and you saw this whole thing go down while the courtroom. Your parents were in.
When this fucking eyewitness come to the judge and said what he saw, and I've been in a room.
Yeah.
And when she went, I told you, And I told you in Russian, I'm gonna fuck yourself. I'm gonna put on your fucking flowers all gasoline.
How old were you?
14 years.
14 years old.
15 years
You
old.
told her this?
I told her
course.
right in
What would
the
you
court.
would do the same?
And she said, and she started talking to me, and the judge from Moscow said, what happened? And she said to the judge, their son told what he's gonna put on my flowers gasoline. He said, how old is he? Where is he? And I stand up and I'm 15 years old. He said, it's impossible to be him in the court at all. Go fuck himself. So I said, okay. And I go fuck himself. Next day I came.
You came back.
Should I came back? Next day.
So after they sentenced your father,
What?
they gave him a sentencing.
Yeah.
And how did it play out? When's the last one?
Then when this fucking court said what my father should be dead, die. Mom's 8 years old. Father's sister, Tete Ola, 5 years old. And just because there's nobody around, they put me to the fucking school. And that's it.
Hello? Mother, father? It's working. You see, 1, 2, 3. It's starting.
Okay.
Okay. How are you feeling?
Could be better, but could be worse. So thanks God I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always could be better, always could be worse, right?
Sure. This is the life.
Yep. I'm introducing today my grandfather, Eddy. Eddy. He was born in Ukraine and came here to the States. I have lots of questions to ask him. Eddy, I'm going to start off with, where are you from?
It's a very big industry city, Dnepropetrovsk. It's on Ukraine, Soviet Union.
So as a Soviet Union, did you consider it Ukraine, or were you just speaking Russian? You always considered yourself Russian?
Russian, only Russian.
Got it. So you grew up speaking Russian. Can you tell me about your parents? What were their names?
My mother's name is Bronislava, Bronya short name. And my dad's name is David. Your mom, Diana, after his name, uh, takes name from David. David, Diana.
From your dad?
From my dad. And this is name gives Papa Bronya, my mother.
What did your parents do for a living?
My mother just built a home, like a
Housewife?
yeah, at home,
Yeah.
working home, take care of the home. And my father used to be a director of paint plant. He makes paint for a floor,
For homes, so for anything, right?
Yeah.
So he had a paint factory?
Yes.
Got it. And do you have memories growing up? Like in home as a young kid? What are some of your earliest memories?
Since 1958, because in 1958, my dad used to buy a big house and a big yard when the communism take away from him. So but I remember since 1958, everything.
So what do you remember as a kid? Like, what was it like growing up in Russia? What did you do for fun?
In those time, wasn't it so many funds like today. It wasn't it computer, wasn't it eBay, email. It was a very, very poor country. Russia is a rich country, but for regular people, you cannot spend even a lot of money because the cops watching you.
Right. But you mentioned you lived, your father had this huge house. You lived in a nice home, right? You remember this home?
Yes.
So what would you play in the field? Did you play soccer as a kid? Did you play any sports? What would you do after school with your friends? Were there activities that you remember, or you don't even remember much?
It wasn't an activity after school. The biggest activity and go and found it metallalom and bring to the school. You know what's mean metallalom?
No, what is that?
The whole metals.
Yeah, metals. Okay.
Yeah, and one time in воинская часть from army,
Mhm.
we steal for a tank, you know.
Put the mic towards, you see, so this, like that, yeah. So what were you saying about the metals?
We came to the воинская часть for army,
Okay.
and we steal from the tank the гусеница.
The aluminum, the metal.
Yeah, not aluminum, the heavy things. And we brought to the school to give it, to rid of it. Because in those time, children from schools, they have to go and found some metal from the street.
Mhm.
But we came to the army, and then one polkovnik came and found it because somebody told him what it was, the young people. So I can understand, and our school was 3 blocks from this казарма
Mhm.
when all soldiers lived.
So what were you doing that for? Was it for the school or like for like?
No, for the schools.
Why did they need the medals?
Then they boil it and make a good, nice
Oh.
metal.
Oh, okay. So the school was almost like a factory. Your school?
No,
Why would the school need medals?
because
They're teaching kids what to do, or
no adult, you're not gonna send them to the street and found it some piece of metal, piece
so
of
they would
junk.
send the kids to do it.
Yeah, they send it kids to do it.
Already in school, you're working for the government.
Yeah, since 1958, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It was grade. I finished grade 4 and went to the grade 5. So I've been 10, 11 years old.
10, 11 years old, they have you searching for medals. You don't really
Yeah.
remember much of recreation at all. No,
No.
you don't remember much things like that. Okay, can you tell me about your home? What was your home like? Because you mentioned it was a nice home. Can you describe it?
It was a private home with 1, 2, 3, 4, with 4 bedroom and living room and kitchen. And this home had 70 meters wide and 100 meters long. And then the communists take a half and make a детский сад, like a grand,
They made a nursing home,
not nursing home, like for small kids, how you call
like a preschool,
it?
like a daycare.
Exactly, like a daycare.
They did that while you were living there.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they took, I'm telling you, from 100 meters and 70 meters, they put some for children, like a playground.
So pretty much the government found out you had a really nice, sizable
Yeah,
home. They found out, they took half of it, and they made it a daycare.
Yes.
And
yes.
that was while your parents were still around?
Yes.
Okay. So let's get to that because I know you were separated from your parents when you were young, right? How old were you?
It was 1963, and it was 14 years, 15 years old. I've been when the governments, the police came and make the search and found it and money and arrested my dad and arrested my mom's. Why she arrested mom? She never worked in this factory. But they said you have to come to us and talk to the police what my husband might make some money. So just because he didn't come to the cop, he didn't talk to them. So they got 8 years old in jail.
Your mom got 8 years in jail. Your dad got
Yeah.
jail for life, right?
No, my dad got
Executed, right?
executed. Yeah, but
Ex-
he died by himself because they give us the body and we make a funeral.
So he got sick before the official execution.
Two heart surgery. Not heart surgery, 2 heart attack.
2 heart attacks in jail. Wow. Now, okay, so they're making too much money and not reporting. What is typically, because this is communist Russia, right? And
Yeah.
like in the sense of communism, everyone's supposed to earn the same salary, right? Everyone's supposed to have the same accommodations.
Almost.
Almost. So how does that work? Because obviously some people are still making more money. Is it depending on your education, depending on your professional career?
The Russian government told you, oh, you're an engineer, you have to make 120 rubles. Or you're a bookkeeper, you have to make 80 rubles a month.
uh-huh.
And when the Soviet Union collapsed, Gorbachev make every republic separate. So it wasn't Soviet Union anymore.
Right.
Russia was Russia, Ukraine,
Mhm.
Turkmenia, Uzbekistan, 15th republic.
And how did that change salaries? And so now
And then you got some bookkeeper and who tell you, oh, you work the floor, you have to make 75 rubles. Or you're engineer, you have to make 160. But if you're smart, you go and open a business which work for you.
right. So now that once the Soviet Union collapsed and the countries kind of became, there was more opportunity to create more business for yourself and earn more income.
Yeah, correct.
During the Soviet Union, there was no.
You have to believe just in communism.
You had mentioned to me before, being Jewish was very difficult in the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah, because all Soviet Union is the biggest anti-Semitic.
They're anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic, yeah. The biggest one.
This was part of the reason why you wanted to move out? Or
Yes, just because of antisemitism.
just
When
because of
I-
anti-Semitism?
Yes, when I looked at your mom and I knew what can I do for you? Just make her manicures or make a barber shop. They go to the like a barber. That's it. What else? Because she's Jewish.
So it was hard to make a career out of.
Very hard for Jewish people. Very hard.
That's so interesting. So what did you do as a career in Russia?
I used to drive a big truck, and I used to. No, first I used to drive a yellow taxi cab.
A taxi in Russia?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Dnepropetrovsk, and then I start work driver for a big trucks, and I take farmer from, for example, from Ukraine to north of Russia because they could make some money, and they paid me as a driver some money.
So you were essentially a driver. You were
And
moving agriculture, so you were moving different crops from
Correct.
Ukraine to the north of Russia.
Yeah,
And there was money to make in between because there was a disparity in how much it cost
Right.
in Ukraine. It was
exactly.
gotcha. So this was probably not your most desired career. Is this what you wanted to do, or is this just what kind of fell on your lap as an opportunity?
Not just because I am a Jewish.
You're Jewish, so you were treated. You couldn't find opportunity. You had to.
It's impossible to make opportunity. What kind of opportunity if I am a driver? So you can drive for this car or you can drive another car.
What time period did you decide I need to immigrate?
In,
How'd you
in what-
choose? How'd you choose America? And what was your process to get there?
In 1979,
You knew you weren't going to have income during that time, right?
whatever I had, it's
So you knew you had enough to live for a year and
Yeah.
5 months.
yeah.
So you took that risk. You had to wait a year and 5 months for your visa. What first got into your idea? Okay, let's go to America. Who told you America was a better place?
You know, in 1979, everyone on the street
Is talking about it.
talking about America, and only Jewish can come to you. First, you said to the government, to the cops, what you go to the Israel.
Okay.
When Golda Meir said, "My people have to come to me," so we first we said we go to Israel.
Right.
When we came to Vienna,
Vienna in Austria, right?
yeah, in Austria. Then you said, "No, I go to United States. I'm not gonna go to Israel."
So you pretty much have to tell the government I'm going to Israel,
Yeah.
and you go to Israel first to Vienna,
Yeah.
and then once you're in Vienna, you decide, hey, I'm actually going to go to the States, and it's
Right.
okay because you're already in Austria. So
In
There's
Austria, I've been like,
so are you applying for a visa in Israel, or you're applying for America?
no, in Russia to
Yeah.
the Israel.
To
You
Israel.
cannot say what-
So then you need now you're in Austria, right? So
Yeah.
are you staying in
Yeah.
Austria now applying for America?
Right.
Okay, so you're living in Austria and you're waiting for a visa for America while you're in Austria.
No, in Austria, I've been just 2 weeks. And then from Austria, I came, they sent us to the Italy,
Yeah, you lived in Rome, right?
close to Rome,
Close.
40 kilometers. Vladislav. I forgot already the name.
How long did you live in?
Vladis.
We'll find out. I'll look for it.
Yeah.
How long did you live in Italy for?
Not too much, like maybe 2.5 months.
2.5 months. And during this time, is that when you were applying for your American visa
Yeah.
while you're in Italy?
Yeah.
What was your time in Italy like? I remember you told me it was some of the first times you tasted like your best food. The cuisine was different, right?
Yes. In Italy, you cannot even compare
What you were eating in Russia?
Yes, and what you eat in Italy.
What would you eat in Russia? What was the typical diet in Soviet Russia? Soviet Union.
Meat and potato and bread.
What type of meat?
And
Chicken, pork,
chicken
beef,
and
everything?
pork and beef,
Everything. Yeah.
everything.
A lot of the stuff we eat, like kotleti, pelmeni,
yeah,
borscht.
kotleti, borscht. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Bouillonчик.
And in Italy, you got to eat pastas and
Yes.
new
yeah.
things, right? So you
Yeah.
tried new
Right.
flavors. Food was better.
For me, it was better. I like Italian.
So okay, finally you make it to the United States, right?
Yeah.
You got your visa. So what was that like? Can you walk me through immigrating into the States, how you found a home, how you found a job?
Job, I could only drive the car.
Yellow cab, right?
Yeah, and I've been a very good driver.
Yeah.
Because
You went to auto school and then you were driving.
No, I don't know. Today they do the same thing, but when we came, it was on Russian language. I do have like a driver license from Russia, and I show what I'm really a driver. So they prepare on Russian language all question to exchange my driver license from Russia to driver license in United States. And when I change, I used to be a very good driver. So in newspaper, I understand what only for taxi cab.
Mhm.
I'm good.
So you saw an ad in the newspaper for a taxi cab job?
Yeah, when I used to have a taxi license.
When you came here, what was your plan for housing? Where did you have an idea or
Like everyone, go and take apartment for rent.
right? But So you had enough money for rent?
Yes,
Just enough you knew you'd have.
Yes.
So you found someone to rent to you. Where was the first apartment? It wasn't here, right?
It wasn't in Brooklyn, 24th Avenue and 64th Street.
Where's that, Brighton Beach?
No, it's a Bensonhurst.
Bensonhurst was the first one?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you got
And
it.
I know you worked really long hours as a taxi driver, right? So you
Yes.
can make a living here.
Yeah.
What eventually brought you from a taxi driver, and then I believe you went into the oil business, right?
And then the gasoline business.
Gasoline business. So you dropped this business, and next is the liquor business,
And
right?
next is the liquor business on Brighton.
What year did you open the store in Brighton Beach?
In 1998 or 1997.
1990?
1997.
So right after I was born, right?
Yes.
I think there's an article or something somewhere in this house.
What?
There's an article or a newspaper somewhere in this house. Was that your first promotion of the store?
Yes.
About L'Chaim, can you tell me how you made it successful? Because I know that was a successful endeavor of yours. You sold that store you made money.
Yeah, I make money on the store. So what you asking me?
How'd you build it up? Because you just started, you didn't know anything about the business.
Nothing. But I spoke. I don't know. Somebody told me you are very pleasant. I am pleasant.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree. You're pleasant.
So when I needed,
Yeah.
so the whole salesperson, they used to love me,
Okay.
and I trust them, and they teach me.
Right.
Take this wine. Take this wine. Take this whiskey. Take this single malt.
Right.
And I was listening, and
you built up your inventory over
and
time.
I built up the inventory. When I came to L'Chaim, it was only Manishevich 2 cases. That's it.
It was a dying store.
Dying store. I came to his old guy, very old guy. He used to live on Nostrand Avenue.
Mhm.
I took I don't want to break the lock.
Yeah.
So I came to him and take the key.
Right.
And then I make prepare some.
You upgraded the interior.
Interior, yeah.
I remember the store very well. I really do. And I actually visited recently, but it doesn't look the same because when you were operating it, it was like just redone. So it looked brand new. And I remember I would look as a kid and see what's the most expensive item in the store. Because I would always look and I would see like the Hennessy XO or whatever it was, like, Louis the 13th.
Louis the 13th.
Yeah, for like $3,000. I couldn't imagine why it was so expensive, but I like to look around. I really remember. And I also remember Fish for Fish.
Fish for Fish. It's in your house.
Yeah.
I brought the candy.
And at your store too is Fish for Fish.
Yeah.
The candy.
Maybe.
Yeah, I remember. And how did this candy? Because I remember it came out of my ear. How is this possible? How come the candy always came out of my ear?
But it used to come. I took it. You didn't look inside, and
you would catch me off guard, and all of a sudden I would feel candy come out of my ear. I'm thinking it's coming from inside of me. Yeah.
But you've been a small piece of shit.
Yeah, I was small. I really remember those days, and I enjoy those experiences a lot.
I do remember when you used to be really small, just from the hospital.
Yeah.
I do remember. You used to live in Manhattan, on 3rd Avenue and 33rd Street.
Can you tell me about your relationship with Mom? Because I know she's really important to you. Can you tell me about her education, her career?
What do you mean, it's my daughter?
Yeah,
I
know.
Blood,
I know.
Body.
But every time you tell me about her education, can you tell me?
Because I knew, what if you don't give education to your child? Why you came to the United States? You could stay in Ukraine, in Dnepropetrovsk, and gonna be the same.
Yeah. So, can you put to the mic? So you worked hours and hours as a taxi driver, and you put Mom through private school, right?
Yes, I put so many hours because I want to be Diana, educated person.
And where did she go to school? Can you tell me?
Adelphi Academy,
right?
And after Adelphi, she went to the NYU,
right?
And after NYU, she went to the law school.
You're forgetting one that you always told me.
What?
John Casablanca too.
Oh yeah, no, John Casablanca just paid money, but Mom never been there.
She went for classes.
Oh, John Casablanca is a
model.
It's a model school. Yeah,
she went there
from
too.
Brooklyn. I used to drove her to White Plains and stay 3 hours. Reading the Russian newspaper, Nova Ruskaya Slova. And I waited when she went out, and then I came home.
Gotcha. So Mom went to John Casablanca, Adelphi Academy, NYU, and then law school.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive background. And now she's certified as a wine specialist.
Yeah. And then when we opened the liquor store in Armand,
right?
I used to pay $2,500 or $2,700, and she went to be how you call. Well, she can
for wine.
Yeah, for wine.
Yeah, she's a CSW, certified wine specialist.
Yeah,
similar to sommelier.
Sommelier. Yeah. When we opened it, she asked me, "Pa, what you think?" I said, "Sure. Go.
Yeah.
And so she went.
I know a lot of people, because I had the chance to work at the liquor store, as you know, and a lot of people would ask about you. A lot of people really loved you at that store, and they missed you there.
Because the customers is number one. You have to be polite. You have to be pleasant. You have to, before you say something, you have to know you're going to do it or you're not going to do it.
Now, clearly you have a very beautiful family. Can you tell me about the rest of the family, the small ones?
Who, the Ross?
Ross and the Brian, you like to call the clever.
He's the clever.
Brian is definitely a clever.
Yeah, and Ross is the small yo-yo.
Yo-yo, you like to call him, right?
Yeah, from the day first.
Yeah,
He was
jumping around.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice pictures.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
told him yo-yo.
You have a beautiful family, and your family really appreciates all the work and effort you put in to give us a better life.
Listen, this is what your parents put it in you, then you put it in your children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My parents, Bronya and David, they give you their blood for me.
Lots of love.
But I got from Bronya, you know, 1 block or 2 blocks from school to my house. And when they come, the teachers, Bronya used to give him some chicken or some meat. What was deficit, you know?
Yeah.
You couldn't come to the store and give me this. Oh, no, not this chicken. Give me this chicken.
Right.
Or give me this apple, not this one apple. Give me just a mandarin.
There was barely enough chicken for everybody.
Yeah, but
your mom would try and feed people around the community if she could.
Not community, the teachers.
Right. From the daycare.
From the school.
Yeah. Yeah. So you learned a lot of the way that you act is based on how your parents treated you and treated the people around them.
All right.
That's beautiful. This is the Better Road podcast, and no one defines the better road more than Eddy and all the hard work and effort he put in to create a better road and a better life for his family. Before we go, this is a question I ask everybody. Is there one thing that makes your life better or improves the quality of your life?
Make the life better and improve your life. You know, it's as long as you're going to be alive, anyone, even a bumsh, still he is alive. He wants to make his life better. But if you don't have a power inside, if you say to yourself, fuck you, who's going to take care of you if you doesn't want to take care of yourself? Who else going to take care of you? Who else going to take care of your family? You know, your mom was for me, it's like oxygen. She was like something from God. That's why I gave everything. But I knew with the education in United States, you have to be educated. Otherwise, you're going to be the Superman in the building.
Right.
That's it.
So for you to be better is to take care of yourself, find love, and, you know, mom and your family brought you a lot of pleasure.
You know, honestly, I do have very good family and very appreciate family. And you and Brian and Rose and mom and dad. And for me, it's a very important because if I'm going to put so many power to your family, and if you're not going to be like you are, or Brian going to be not like Brian, or you're going to be yo-yo, there's no reason to live.
Okay.
Listen, that's what my parents put me inside.
Yeah.
That's why when I came, I saw your mom. Everything what I could, I put it to your mom, the whole education.
Your family gives you reason to live.
Yes.
Yes. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Eddy. Thank you so much for coming.
Very welcome.
I love you so much. I really, you don't even
I love you very much.